Okay, so welcome to another session that we have for the licensure examination for agriculturist review. I am Arvin Joshua P. Berlongo. You can call me Sir Josh. And yeah, so for this video, we will talk about the essential preparations before crop production. So in the past videos, we have been talking, or in the past sessions we have been talking about crop physiology, the process of photosynthesis, the things that classifies, or how are we classifying our crops, how are we classifying them based on their mode of reproduction, based on their purpose, based on their general classifications and botanical classifications, right? So now we are we will be talking about the essential preparations for crop production. So before we put our plants there, what are the necessary things that we need to do? And we will touch several concepts, most especially in the field of soil science as well. So take this as a review for your soil science then. But and if there are things that is if there are things that are somehow need to be clarified, I have a Google form where you can ask your questions, wherein you can also correct me if there are things, and I will be happy to clarify those things if you think that the things that I'm saying here are not correct. I got. So here are just some of the important considerations when you're starting a crop enterprise or a garden. So una is, let's say for example, in the context of a biointensive garden, you need to have, or you need to consider these different factors. First, dapat east to west yung orientation ng iyong um, farm, or the plots that you will be creating. So dapat east to west siya, and that is because the sunlight, para hindi magkaroon ng shading. Let's say for example, magtatayo ka ng trellis. So para hindi ma-shadean yung iba ng mga halaman, ayun, it is important that it is east to west. The next one is, ayun, in a biointensive garden, yung height dapat ng plot mo must be 30 to 60 centimeters. So narrow plots, and that is to allow working on the different, on both sides of the plot. And of course, in the context of biointensive gardening, it is important to have crop rotation. So later we will discuss more, or discuss deeper on the rationale behind crop rotation. Ano nga ba yung dahilan kung bakit natin ginagawa yung crop rotation? So in a what do you call this, in a biointensive garden, kapag gusto mo mag-crop rotation, you can alternate yung root, leafy, legumes, tapos yung fruiting vegetables natin. Ayun. So we also have the concept of bed preparation. So in a raised bed, kailangan ipiprepare muna natin sila. Kasi una, there's a, kaya siya itinataas, di ba meron tayong raised bed? Kaya siya itinataas to also allow for the growth of the roots, and to also enhance the soil texture, or yung soil texture, yung soil porosity. Ayan. So, para mas ma-enhance natin yon, nagpe-prepare tayo ng ating bed. So, meron tayong tinatawag na deep dug beds. So, the principles behind deep dug beds and raised beds, una, it makes the soil loose and friable, which means it can be easily crumbled. So, ang pinaka-illustration dito ay yung ating chow fan. 'Di ba yung chow fan, kapag titingnan mo, hindi siya as in dikit-dikit. So, hiwa-hiwalay per pieces. So, ayun yung pinaka basic or pinaka magandang illustration kapag sinabing friable. So, kapag then piniprepare natin yung bed natin, o kaya dini-deep dug natin, deep dug from the term itself, binubungkal mo lang, ayan. So it also enables plant roots to penetrate easily. So dahil nga nagkakaroon ng spaces sa ating plant roots, then sa ating plant roots, sa ating soil, mas bumababa or mas nagkakaroon ng space for our plant roots to grow doon sa soil natin. And of course, with that, meron ding steady stream of nutrients that can flow through the stem and the leaves. So the steady stream of nutrients, ang ibig sabihin yan dahil nga merong mas magiging maraming spaces yung ating soil. So maraming water na pwedeng pumunta doon. Then after that, yung mga water na yon, ayan, so sila yung ma-absorb ng roots papunta sa stem and finally sa leaves. Ngayon, bakit mahalaga yun? Kasi nga, saan nangyayari ang photosynthesis? We will go back to those different um, physiological processes saan siya mangyayari sa leaves. So you need to go to supply water then doon. Ayun. So one of the questions na meron ay, does it always have to be double dug? Kailangan ba laging double dug? Kasi nga sabi natin, magiging okay siya para sa mga halaman natin. So, of course, no, it depends on the soil condition too. So, let's say for example, kapag masyadong rocky yung ating soil, ibig sabihin sobrang tigas noong ating soil, isipin mo na lang na parang kunwari, lamesa na siya, ganyan. O kaya, ano yun, talagang surface na siya. So, it might be better to have raised beds. So, if I will illustrate that here, kapag kunwari sobrang tigas na ng iyong land, ayan. So, ang mas maganda, since ito ay hindi mo na siya ma-penetrate ng, um, for example, yung ating mga tools, ganyan. So, what better thing to do is to have raised beds. So, marami ng mga raised beds ngayon, lalo na yung mga merong kahoy-kahoy, pwedeng ganun. O kaya yung mga improvise na may mga bottles. So, you can do those things. So, if too clayey naman, ang ibig sabihin ng clayey, parang putik na siya. So, double dug is ideal. Bakit? In terms of our soil texture, yung clayey, sila may pinaka-smallest na particle. So, maliliit yung particles ng clay na soil. So, sila yung mas may tendency na magdikit-dikit and mas maging parang putik. So, kaya siya double dug is ideal. Kasi dahil dikit-dikit na siya, ang parang gagawin natin ay bubungkalin natin para magkaroon siya ng mga spaces. So, remember that when it comes to bed preparation or sa preparation ng isang garden bed, in the case of horticultural crops, mga vegetables, ganyan, it is better to have spaces um, sa ating lupa, ganyan. So, minimize hard pan. Ayan. So, too clayey para double dug is ideal to minimize the hard pan. Ang meaning lang ng hard pan is that kapag na-compact na-compact yung lupa sa may baba, magkakaroon na yan ng ah, parang ano na siya, anong tawag dito? Parang meron na siyang isang layer. Tapos sa layer na yon, pwede na mag-accumulate na lang dito yung water. Hindi na nila kaya mag-penetrate sa baba kasi nga puro clayy yung nandito. So sobrang liit na. Ayan. So may maidi-discuss tayo later siguro kung saan maganda ang hard pan. Kung ano ang crop na okay ang hard pan. Ayun. Tapos, kapag ito ay dinoble dug, of course, it will allow for better water infiltration and it will also break the soil crust. So, ayun, kapag ginawa natin yung mga yun, ang mangyayari is that magkakaroon ng mas maraming spaces yung ating garden bed na pagtataniman natin ng mga gulay. Yan. Kapag loam soil naman, raised beds ang maganda kung walang hard pan. Sige, sasabihin ko na at this juncture yung setup kung kailan kailangan yung hard pan. Yung hard pan, kailangan siya sa lowland rice. So remember, ang ating lowland rice, ang mas gusto nila ay ang clayey na soil. So ang mas gusto nila yung mas maputik na soil. So ang hard pan, kaya siya gustong-gusto or kaya siya dapat meron sa isang rice field na lowland or yung ating irrigated rice. Kaya dapat siya meron doon para una, hindi lulubog yung farmer. Ayun. So, kaya yung hard pan natin, siya yung parang nagsisilbing parang semento kung saan yung farmers, andyan na siya. Tapos, syempre dahil siya ay isang irrigated rice or lowland rice, gusto natin yung hard pan para hindi na pupunta sa baba yung tubig. So, mag stay dito yung tubig, yung ating irrigation. Tapos dito ka na magtatanim ng iyong mga rice. Ayun. So, in terms of rice planting, mas gusto ang lowland rice planting, mas gusto ang merong hard pan. Kapag naman garden crops, mga horticultural crops, mas gusto ang double dog beds or mga raised beds natin. Ayan, so here is a question that I want you to think about. Why are deep dug beds important? Using this illustration. So, bakit kaya mahalaga na bubungkalin natin yung lupa? Ganyan. So, using this illustration, think about that. Ayun. So, I hope na nakaisip kayo ng reasons kung bakit kaya mahalaga ang deep dug beds. So, just to explain, ayan, um, it is important na magkaroon tayo ng deep dug beds kasi iba-iba yung root levels ng mga crops. So if we have a deep dug beds in the case of gardens, mas marami kang pwedeng itanim na mga halaman. So let's say for example, in one of my classes here in UPLB, ang pinapagawa yung deep dug bed sa start ng semester. Tapos magtatanim sila doon ng apat na types ng plant. Merong root crop, merong fruiting vegetables, merong leafy, ganyan. Tapos meron pang leguminous. So, say for example, yung root system ng kamatis is really different from the root system of leafy vegetables. So sa leafy vegetables, mas shallow yung kanilang root system compared doon sa ating solanaceous crops. So same true, iba rin yung sa root crop which is yung sweet potato, ganyan. Kasi yung sweet potato ay nag-grow sa baba. So it will occupy space, 'di ba? So ayun, kapag deep dug bed yung ating raised bed, ayun, mas maganda yung space, mas may space kung saan pwedeng mag-grow yung mga crops natin. At mas marami tayong pwedeng i-accommodate na mga halaman. Yeah. So another thing to do before crop production is actually crop planning. It is very important for us to plan for our garden or even whatever enterprise or whatever plant na ang itatanim mo. So let us say for example, ayan, crop rotation. So you can alternate leaf, root, legume, fruit-bearing vegetables. And the principle behind that is to regenerate the soil and break the pest cycle. So crop rotation is actually one of the management practices kung saan tayo ay nakakapag break ng ating pest cycle. So, ang parang principle lang doon ay since kunwari, 30 days, meron kang ganitong halaman. Tapos yung halaman na yon nandun siya. So, yung mga pests niya, uh, dun sila mabubuhay for 30 days. Tapos after 30 days, mag-harvest ka. So, yung pest, more probably, meron siya doon mga larva, etc. Blah, blah, blah. So, kapag pinalitan mo siya ng other crop, meron kasi tayong tinatawag na crop and pest specificity So, kaya kung mapapansin nyo sa crop protection, yung mga disease natin, for example, mango, anthracnose, kasi yung disease na yon specific siya for mango, ganyan. Like, laging merong crop na nandun sa pangalan ng disease. Ayun. So, merong specificity between the two. So, ayun, kapag pinalitan mo yung halaman doon, so ang parang magiging initial result or initial na thinking nung pest ay, but parang iba na to. So it will break them. So it again, if we will look back at our disease triangle, one of the um ang isa dito ay environment, 'di ba? So kapag hindi favorable yung environment for the different post different pests, kapag hindi siya favorable for them, then hindi sila magda-thrive doon sa environment na yun. So ayun yung principle of crop rotation. Another one is it also regenerates soil. So if you will go to nutrient management naman, let's say for example you have uh legumes as one of your crops. And we know that legumes have uh, nitrogen fixing bacteria. So kapag nagtanim ka ng legumes, it can accumulate nitrogen sa ating soil. So for the next, let's say for example, magtatanim ka ng legume, mung bean, ganyan. Tapos, ang pinakamagandang itanim doon is yung nitrogen, yung crop na high yung requirement niya ng nitrogen. So that is, say for example, leafy vegetables. Kasi, again, i-connect ulit natin to na sa leafy vegetables, syempre hindi naman tayo, wala naman tayong hinihintay na fruit or anything doon. Ang leafy, kailangan na kailangan nila ng nitrogen. Bakit? Kasi nga, if we will go back to the structure of chlorophyll, meron dong apat na nitrogen atoms. So, kaya kailangan ng mga leafy vegetables ang nitrogen. So, ganun yung magandang techniques when it comes to crop rotation. Ayun. So, intensive planting, yan, cultivation of trellis crops, cultivation of shade-tolerant crops under the trellis. So, with these different practices and activities, you can you can maximize the space. Thus, there will be higher yield per unit area. So, ayun, promotion of local varieties, conserve genetic resources, inclusion of culturally acceptable, nutritionally important vegetables, improve nutrition, reduce health risk, cultivation of wide range of vegetables, diversification of diet, inclusion of short duration crops, avoid seasonal food deficiencies, then perennial polycultural multi-storage fence crops or edible fence, windbreaks. So yung windbreaks natin, it is one of the principles or the application of knowing the knowledge on transpiration. Kapag alam natin na ang wind ay mas malakas yung effect niya, the higher the wind velocity, the higher the rate of transpiration. So ayun, in terms of the different crops that you are planting kapag kunwari nasa may tabi ka ng beach. So ayun, mas malakas yung wind doon. So ang kailangan mo ay wind breaks. So ayan, pwede yan mangyari using multi-storied fence crops. So again, ayun yung kahalagan niya. Another concept that we have when it comes to gardening is water conservation. So, in the case of biointensive gardening, close spacing of crops reduces evaporation from soil. So, dahil nga mas tabi-tabi yung mga crops natin, magkakaroon ng canopy or magkakaroon ng parang kapag lumaki na sila, masya-shadean nila yung lupa. So, kapag na-shadean nila yung lupa, then yung sunlight hindi siya magkakaroon ng direct effect doon sa soil. So, kumbaga yung tama ng sunlight, hindi na siya masyadong tatama sa lupa kasi nga merong canopy. Ayun, so it will reduce evaporation of water from the soil. So next is mulching. It also lowers soil temperature and at the same time reduces evapotranspiration. So mulching is a common question that we get from crop protection. So mulching is also a pest management measure. So ang ginagawa niya, una, kino-conserve niya yung soil moisture. So para mas maging accessible pa rin yung ating water sa ating mga crops. And on the other hand, it also prevents weeds sa pagtubo. Ayan. So deep tillage and organic matter reduces runoff. So the higher the organic matter content, the higher or the better water holding capacity of the soil. So later we will tackle more on the water holding capacity of the soil. So overall, a 30 to 50 reduction in water needs can be expected when we are doing biointensive gardening. So ito, weeding naman. So in terms of using mulch and practicing that, ang karaniwan nagiging effect is that 70% or approximately 70% of time eliminated for weeding. So weed growth significantly reduce at ito yung mga practices that can reduce weed growth. Meron deep tillage, mulching, and close spacing of crops. So these are the things that we have discussed kanina sa previous slide. Yung tillage, we will discuss that later when we go to land preparation. Then we also have pest control. So of course, when you are planning before crop production, kailangan mo nang tignan kung ano yung mga possible pests ng iyong crop and how will you go around it. So uh, pest reduction from soil improvement, good drainage, balanced soil, nutritional status, and presence of beneficial fungi. So pests can be reduced using by doing land preparation. Let's say for example, kapag you are harrowing or you are furrowing, if you are doing secondary land preparation methods, ang isa sa mga objective mo is to really reduce the weeds na nandoon. So yung good drainage naman, it prevents different diseases, soil diseases na mag-accumulate. Kasi let's say for example, kapag masyadong hindi nagde-drain yung iyong ano, parang may stagnant water. Kapag may stagnant water dun uh, sa iyong land, sa iyong garden. So, ang tendency nun is it can be a breeding ground for bad microorganisms. So, mas lalong nag-develop yung ating mga pests and diseases, lalo na sa ating soil. So, one of the uh, problems doon ay yung root rot. Ayan, root rot. Growing a diversity of crops reduces insect pests. Ayun, para yung host nila iba-iba. Ganon. So crop rotation breaks life cycle of pest. Same explanation dun sa sinabi ko kanina. The inclusion of acclimatized hardy pest tolerant indigenous varieties. Use of plants with insect repellent properties. So some of these plants ay ang um, marigold kasi nga nagkakapag-produce siya ng mga allelochemicals and basil due to its aroma. So removal of diseased plant parts reduces the spread of infestation. So this is more on the control side na kapag may isang plant na nagma-manifest ng symptoms, it is important that you remove that na para maiwasan yung pagkalat niya sa iyong garden. And use of botanical formulations as pest control spray. Encouragement of predatory insects.